The stars looked cold and distant from the observation deck of the Dauntless. Commander Eric Johnson stood alone, his tired eyes fixed on the endless black. His hand touched the small silver locket that hung from his neck. Inside was a picture of Olivia, his wife, who had been gone for 3 years now. "Commander, you should get some rest," said Carol, the ship's doctor, who had quietly entered the room. "It's past midnight." Eric didn't turn around. "I'll sleep later." "You always say that." The doctor was right, but Eric couldn't sleep. Sleep brought dreams of Olivia, and waking up to find her gone again was too painful. 3 years ago, Eric and Olivia Johnson had both been rising stars in the United Earth Alliance. Eric commanded the UEA Defender, a patrol ship, while Olivia led the science crew on the Starseeker. They were the golden couple of the fleet, smart, dedicated, and deeply in love despite the challenges of their jobs. "We got new orders today," Eric said, finally turning away from the stars. "We're heading to Sector 12, routine patrol." Carol nodded. She knew what was really bothering him. Sector 12 was only 3 light years from where the Starseeker had vanished. The day it happened was still clear in Eric's mind. The Starseeker had been studying a strange energy reading near the edge of mapped space. Eric's ship was 2 days away, providing security for a diplomatic mission. The call came in the middle of the night. Commander Johnson, the communications officer, had said, her voice shaking. "The Starseeker it's gone, sir." Eric had rushed to the bridge in his sleepwear. "What do you mean, gone? Put them on screen." "We can't, sir. They were scanning an anomaly, some kind of space distortion. The last transmission shows they were moving closer for better readings. Then, nothing." Eric remembered how his body had gone cold. "Nothing? No distress call? No escape pods?" "No, sir. 1 minute they were there, the next." The anomaly expanded, suddenly, and then collapsed. The Starseeker was gone. The Alliance sent every available ship to search. For weeks they scanned the area where the Starseeker had disappeared. They found nothing. No debris, no radiation trail, no sign that a ship with 23 people had ever been there. It was as if the Starseeker had been erased from existence. Eric had refused to give up. He took all his leave time, called in every favor, and spent hours reviewing the sensor logs. He visited research stations and consulted with scientists who studied space anomalies. Some thought the ship might have been crushed. Others suggested it could have been transported somewhere else. Nobody knew for sure. 6 months after the disappearance, Admiral Harlow called Eric to his office. "Johnson, this has to stop," the Admiral said, his voice firm but kind. The older man had known both Eric and Olivia since they were cadets. "You're one of our best officers, but you're running yourself into the ground." "Sir, with respect, we died." "Haven't tried. We've tried everything, son. Everything. The Alliance has officially declared the Starseeker lost with all hands." The Admiral slid a document across the desk, the official report with its cold final words. Eric felt like he'd been punched. "I can't accept that, sir." "You don't have to accept it in your heart, but as an Alliance officer, you need to move forward. Take the counseling we're offering, then get back to work or turn in your resignation." Eric had stayed in the service, but something in him changed. The focused, ambitious officer became quiet and withdrawn. His performance reviews noted that, while he was still competent, his drive was gone. After a year, he requested a transfer to any ship heading to the outer sectors, places where he could be alone with the stars and his memories. They gave him the Dauntless, an older patrol vessel, with a small crew of 40. The ship was sturdy but outdated, assigned to quiet patrol routes where nothing much happened. For Eric, it was perfect. He did his job well enough, but at night, he still reviewed old sensor data and research papers about space anomalies. Now, 3 years after the disappearance, the Dauntless cruised through the quiet darkness of Sector 12. Eric sat in the captain's chair, going through routine reports. The bridge was quiet, just the soft beeping of instruments and the low conversations of the crew. "Commander," called Lieutenant Sam Peters from the sensor station. "I'm picking up something odd." Eric barely looked up. "Asteroid field?" Solar. Flare? No, sir, it's an energy reading, unlike anything I've seen before. Now Eric was interested. He walked over to Peters's station. Show me. The screen displayed a swirling pattern of energy about half a light year away. It was faint but distinct, a disturbance in normal space. How long has it been there? Eric asked, suddenly alert. Can't say for sure, sir. We just came into range. Eric studied the pattern. Something about it seemed familiar. Send the data to Science Lab 2. I want a complete analysis. An hour later, Lieutenant Keith Martinez, the ship's science officer, called from the lab. Commander, you need to see this. Eric was there in minutes. Martinez had the readings displayed on the main screen, complex patterns of energy that swirled and pulsed. What am I looking at, Lieutenant? Martinez pointed to a series of numbers. I compared this reading to every anomaly in our database. There's a 98% match to only one. He paused, looking nervously at Eric. It matches the readings from the anomaly where the Starseeker disappeared. Eric's heart seemed to stop. You're certain? Yes, sir. The pattern is almost identical. It's just weaker, like an echo. For the first time in years, Eric felt a surge of hope. Dangerous, painful hope. Plot a course to the source of that reading. Maximum speed. Sir, Martinez said carefully. Alliance protocol says we should report this and wait for... I know the protocol, Lieutenant. We'll report it, but we're going to investigate now. Eric's voice left no room for argument. Tell communications to send a priority message to command, then get us to that anomaly. As the Dauntless changed course, Eric returned to the observation deck. The stars no longer seemed cold and distant. Somewhere out there, maybe, just maybe, was an answer. He touched the locket again. I'm coming, Olivia, he whispered. If you're out there, I'm coming. The Dauntless moved through space at top speed toward the strange energy reading. Eric barely left the bridge for 2 days. He drank too much coffee and slept in short naps in his chair. His crew noticed his sudden change but said nothing. They had never seen such fire in their commander's eyes before. How much longer? Eric asked, his voice tight with impatience. Lieutenant Susan Miller looked up from the navigation console. 6 hours to destination, sir. 6 hours. After 3 years of emptiness, 6 hours seemed both too long and too short. Eric paced the small bridge, checking readings that he had already checked 10 times before. Sir, said Carol, the ship's doctor, who had come to the bridge uninvited. You need to rest. Real rest, in a bed. I'll rest when we get there. Carol lowered her voice. Eric, I know what you're thinking, but you need to prepare yourself. This might not be what you hope. Eric nodded stiffly. He knew she was right. The odds of finding anything related to Olivia were tiny. But for the first time in years, he had something real to chase, not just theories and fading hopes. 4 hours to destination, announced. Susan. Eric went to his quarters to shower and change. The hot water helped clear his head. He looked at himself in the mirror, the lines on his face, the gray in his hair that hadn't been there 3 years ago. Olivia wouldn't recognize him now. The thought hit him hard. Even if by some miracle she was alive, they had both changed. 3 years was a long time. Clean and in a fresh uniform, Eric returned to the bridge feeling more like a commander and less like a desperate man. His crew straightened a little as he entered. Status report, he said calmly. Keith Martinez, the science officer, responded first. The energy pattern is holding steady, sir. If anything, it's getting stronger as we approach. Any response to our signals? Communications Officer Patel shook her head. Nothing, Commander. We've been broadcasting standard Alliance greeting messages, but there's no reply. Keep trying, and scan for any kind of transmission, not just standard frequencies. They got closer, the bridge grew quieter. Everyone seemed to feel the weight of the moment. This wasn't just another patrol mission. 1 hour to destination, said Susan Miller. Eric nodded. Yellow alert. I want everyone at their stations. The Dauntless slowed as it approached the coordinates, where the energy pattern was strongest. The main screen showed nothing but empty space. A few distant stars, but no planets or visible anomalies. I don't understand, said Eric, staring at the screen. Where is it? Martinez was bent over his scanner. It's there, sir. The energy reading is definitely there, but it's not visible to the naked eye. It's some kind of ripple in space. Can we send a probe? Already prepared, sir, said Martinez. He had anticipated the order. The small probe launched from the Dauntless, carrying sensors more sensitive than those on the ship. It moved slowly toward the invisible disturbance. Probe sending data, reported Martinez. Wait. He looked up, his face pale. Commander, the probe is picking up a signal. A radio signal coming from somewhere beyond the anomaly. A signal? Play it, ordered Eric, his heart pounding. A series of beeps filled the bridge. 3 short, 3 long, 3 short, an old distress pattern. It's an SOS, said Patel, her voice hushed. An old Earth SOS signal. Can we respond? Asked Eric. Patel shook her head. The signal is coming through the anomaly. Our response would have to go through it too, and we don't know if that's possible. Eric made a quick decision. Move us closer, carefully. The Dauntless edged toward the invisible disturbance. The sensors showed energy levels rising. Sir, Martinez said suddenly, the probe is detecting more than just the distress signal. There's a message embedded in it. It's very weak, but it's... He stopped, eyes widening. It's using Alliance encryption. Old version, from 3 years ago. The bridge went completely silent. Everyone knew what that meant. Can you decode it? Eric asked, his voice barely a whisper. Martinez nodded, fingers flying over his console. Working on it, sir. Minutes passed. Eric stood frozen, afraid to hope. I've got it, said Martinez finally. It's coordinates, sir, and a message. Survivors here. Help. Eric felt his legs go weak. Survivors? From what? The message doesn't say. But given the encryption, it has to be the Starseeker, Eric finished. It has to be. The coordinates pointed to a star system just beyond the anomaly, a place not on any Alliance charts. How do we get there? Eric asked. Martinez studied the readings. The anomaly seems to be a thin spot between normal space and somewhere else. The probe's readings suggest it might be possible to pass through. Might be? What are the risks? Unknown, sir, but the signal came through, so something can travel from there to here. Eric faced an impossible choice. Alliance protocol was clear. Wait, for backup, never risk a ship investigating an unknown anomaly. But backup would take weeks to arrive. And if there were survivors on the other side, if Olivia was there, every minute mattered. Prepare the ship for passage, he ordered. Full shields. Sir, protested Susan Miller. Regulations state, I know the regulations, Eric said firmly. I'm choosing to ignore them. Anyone who objects can log their protest officially. He looked around the bridge. No one spoke. Very well. Take us in, slow and steady. The Dauntless moved forward. As they neared the invisible boundary, the ship began to shake. Hull stress increasing, reported Chief Engineer Wade over the comm. But within tolerances. Keep going, said Eric. The stars on the view screen began to stretch and distort. The ship shuddered more violently. Shields at 80%, called out the tactical officer. For a moment, Eric doubted his decision. He was risking his entire crew on what might be a false hope. But then he remembered Olivia's face, her laughter, the way she would never have given up if he had been the one lost. Stay on course, he ordered. Suddenly, the shaking stopped. The view screen showed normal stars again, but in different positions. Status? Eric demanded. All systems functioning, said Wade, sounding surprised. Minor damage to outer hull plating, but nothing serious. Martinez looked up from his scanner with awe on his face. Sir, we've definitely moved. These star patterns don't match any in our database. We're somewhere else. The coordinates from the message? Susan checked her navigation. About 2 light days from here, sir. We can be there in 12 hours at maximum speed. Do it, said Eric. As the Dauntless sped toward the mysterious coordinates, Eric finally went to his quarters. He needed to be rested and ready for whatever they found. He took out the locket with Olivia's picture, allowing himself to hope for the first time in years. We're coming, he whispered to her image. Hold on. 12 hours later, the Dauntless arrived at the coordinates from the mysterious signal. A small solar system appeared on their scanners, 5 planets orbiting a yellow sun similar to Earth's. The third planet showed signs of water and a breathable atmosphere. There, said Martinez, pointing to his screen. The signal is coming from the surface of the third planet. Eric leaned forward in his chair. Any signs of settlements? Ships? No ships in orbit, reported Patel. But I'm detecting a small power source on the northern continent. Very weak, but definitely artificial. Take us into orbit, Eric ordered. Prepare a shuttle for landing. Carol, the ship's doctor, stepped forward. Commander, we don't know what's down there. Let me join the landing party. Eric nodded. Agreed. Martinez, you're coming too, and 2 security officers. As they prepared for the landing, Eric tried to keep his expectations in check. The signal used Alliance encryption, but that didn't guarantee they would find Olivia. It could be other survivors, or even just automated equipment left behind. The shuttle launched from the Dauntless and descended through the planet's atmosphere. Below them, they saw a landscape of rocky plains and small forests. The air was thinner than Earth's, but breathable. The signal is coming from that ridge, said Martinez, pointing to a line of hills ahead. They landed the shuttle in a flat area about half a mile from the source of the signal. The team stepped out, weapons ready, just in case. The air was cool and dry with a strange metallic smell. Stay alert, said Eric. We don't know what's out here. They walked toward the hills, scanners sweeping the area. As they got closer, they saw what looked like the entrance to a cave. Metal parts had been set up around it, pieces of what might have once been a spacecraft. Hello? Eric called out. This is Commander Eric Johnson of the United Earth Alliance. We received your distress signal. Silence. The team exchanged nervous glances. Maybe no one's home, suggested one of the security officers. Just then, a figure appeared at the cave entrance, dressed in dirty, patched clothes that had once been an Alliance uniform. Thin, with a wild beard, but unmistakably human. Alliance? The man said, his voice cracking. Real Alliance? Yes, said Eric, stepping forward. We're here to help. The man stumbled toward them, tears streaming down his face. 3 years, he said. We've been waiting for 3 years. More people emerged. From the cave, 13 in all. Men and women in ragged clothes, their faces showing the hardship they had endured. But alive. Survivors. Carol rushed forward with her medical kit, checking the most frail-looking ones first. Eric scanned the faces, looking for Olivia. She wasn't among them. A man with a medical insignia on his tattered uniform approached Eric. Commander Johnson, I'm Dr. Greg Wilson, Chief Medical Officer of the Starseeker. Eric felt a surge of emotions, relief at finding survivors, disappointment at not seeing Olivia. The Starseeker? You all survived the anomaly? Not all of us, Wilson said sadly. We lost 5 in the initial event. The anomaly threw us across space. We still don't know how far. The Starseeker was badly damaged. Captain Rivera managed to land us on this planet, but he died from his injuries a week later. What happened then? Asked Eric. Wilson led them into the cave. Inside, they found a surprisingly organized living space. The survivors had created sleeping areas, a medical station, and even a small garden where they grew plants under artificial lights salvaged from the ship. We survived, Wilson said simply. We rationed our emergency supplies, found local food sources that were safe to eat, and waited for rescue. He gestured to a makeshift communications array built from ship parts. We've been broadcasting that signal for 2 years. Eric asked the question he had been afraid to ask. Dr. Wilson, was Lieutenant Commander Olivia Johnson among the survivors? Wilson's face showed recognition. Olivia? Yes, she survived the crash. Eric's heart leaped. Where is she now? The doctor exchanged glances with the other survivors. Commander, you should sit down. Eric felt cold fear replace his hope. Just tell me, is she dead? No, Wilson said quickly. At least, not as far as we know. About a year after we crashed, our scanners picked up signs of an advanced civilization on the second planet in this system. We couldn't contact them, our equipment wasn't powerful enough. Olivia volunteered to lead a mission there. A mission? In what? We converted one of our escape pods into a small spacecraft. It wasn't much, but our engineers thought it could make the journey. Olivia took 5 crew members with her, our best, engineer, a linguist, and 3 others. And, Eric prompted when Wilson paused, they made it to the second planet. We received a short transmission confirming their landing. Then, nothing. Wilson looked down. That was 2 years ago. We've had no contact since. Eric stood up, his mind racing. The second planet? Is it habitable? Martinez, who had been scanning with his equipment, joined the conversation. According to our readings, the second planet has a dense atmosphere with high levels of carbon dioxide. Not immediately deadly to humans with breathing equipment, but not comfortable either. And there's definitely an advanced civilization there? Eric asked. Yes, confirmed Martinez. Our scans show massive energy signatures, artificial structures, definitely an advanced society. Eric made his decision instantly. Dr. Wilson, we're taking all of you back to the Dauntless. You'll receive medical treatment and proper food, and then we're going to the second planet. Wilson looked shocked. Commander, we've assumed for 2 years that Olivia and the others didn't survive. The odds of finding them now, I don't care about the odds, Eric said firmly. If there's any chance Olivia is alive on that planet, I'm going to find her. Within hours, the survivors were safely aboard the Dauntless. They marveled at the clean air, real food, and hot showers, luxuries they had lived without for 3 years. While the survivors rested, Eric called a meeting with his senior officers. We're going to the second planet, he told them. I know it's risky, but we're with you, sir, said Susan Miller before he could finish. All of us. The other officers nodded in agreement. Thank you, Eric said, genuinely moved by their loyalty. Martinez, what do we know about this civilization? Martinez displayed the scan results on a screen. They appear to be highly advanced. The structures we're seeing are unlike anything in Alliance records. Floating cities, massive energy collectors. We have no way of knowing if they're peaceful. First, contact situation, mused Patel. Alliance protocol says we should wait for diplomatic specialists. We don't have time for that, said Eric. We'll approach cautiously, try to establish communication. Our priority is finding out what happened to Olivia and her team. As the Dauntless broke orbit and set course for the second planet, Eric went to the observation deck. The strange stars of this unknown part of space shone brightly. I'm close, Olivia, he whispered. So close now. The Dauntless approached the second planet cautiously. Through the view screen, the crew could see why the survivors had been amazed by their scanner readings. The planet was covered with swirling clouds in shades of purple and blue. But more incredible were the structures visible even from space. Enormous floating cities suspended in the atmosphere, connected by bridges of light. It's beautiful, whispered Susan Miller. And far beyond our technology, added Martinez. Those structures shouldn't be able to float like that. Their science must be incredibly advanced. Eric stood at the center of the bridge, his face set with determination. Patel, broadcast on all frequencies. Standard Alliance first contact message. Patel nodded and began transmitting. For several minutes, there was no response. Then suddenly, the main screen flickered and changed. A face appeared, not human. The being had smooth, silvery skin that seemed to shimmer with inner light. Its eyes were large and completely black with no visible pupils. It had no nose, just a small mouth and thin slits where ears would be on a human. Hello, said Patel, surprised by the quick response. The alien tilted its head, studying them. Then it spoke, its voice musical and strange. You are like the others. Everyone on the bridge froze. The alien spoke English. Yes, said Eric, stepping forward. We are humans, like the others who came here. We're looking for them. The alien was silent for a moment. Why? They are our people, explained Eric. One of them is my wife. We want to bring them home. The alien made a gesture they couldn't interpret. The small ship came without permission, entered sacred airspace. The travelers were taken for study. Eric felt a chill at the word study, but kept his voice calm. We apologize for any mistakes they made. They didn't know your rules. May we speak with them? You wish to see the specimens? The alien seemed confused by the request. They are not specimens, Eric said firmly. They are people, sentient beings like yourselves, with families and rights. The alien was silent again, longer this time. This concept is interesting. We will allow one visitor. Coordinates for landing follow. The screen went dark and a series of numbers appeared. They're giving us landing coordinates, said Martinez, sounding surprised. Sir, said Carol, this could be dangerous. We don't know anything about these beings or their intentions. I know, said Eric, but this is our only chance to find Olivia. Let me go with you, Carol insisted. Eric shook his head. They said one visitor. I'll go alone. Commander, protested Susan. Protocol states. I know what protocol states, Eric interrupted. But this isn't a normal situation. I'm going. He looked around at his crew. If I'm not back in 24 hours, you're to return to the anomaly and get these survivors back to Alliance space. No one argued. They could see the determination in his eyes. An hour later, Eric sat in a small shuttle approaching the coordinates. As he got closer to the planet, he saw one of the floating cities more clearly. It looked like a massive crystal structure, with smooth, curved surfaces that caught the light of the sun and broke it into rainbows. There were no visible engines or supports. It simply hung in the air, defying gravity. A beam of light suddenly shot out from the city, enveloping his shuttle. Eric tensed, ready for trouble, but instead of harming his ship, the beam seemed to be guiding it. The shuttle changed course, pulled gently toward a glowing platform that extended from the edge of the city. The shuttle landed softly. Eric put on a breathing mask. The planet's atmosphere wasn't toxic, but it had too little oxygen for humans to breathe comfortably. He stepped out onto the platform. 3 of the silver-skinned aliens waited for him. Up close, they were taller than humans, with long, thin limbs that moved with surprising grace. Follow, said one, its voice somehow in Eric's head rather than in the air. They led him through corridors of what looked like crystal but felt warm under his feet. The inside of the city was filled with light and strange music that seemed to come from the walls themselves. Finally, they stopped at a large door. One alien touched it, and it dissolved into mist. The specimens are here, the alien told him. They remain alive. Eric stepped through the doorway and found himself in a large open room. It looked like a combination of a laboratory and a garden. Plants from Earth grew in containers along one wall. And there, working at some kind of control panel, was a human figure in patched clothing. Eric's heart stopped. Olivia, he called out. The figure turned. It was a man with a thick beard. Who? The man's eyes widened. Alliance uniform, are you real? Yes, said Eric. Disappointment and hope battling. Inside him. I'm Commander Eric Johnson. We found the survivors on the 3rd planet. Where are the others? Is Lieutenant Commander Olivia Johnson with you? The man laughed, tears in his eyes. Johnson. Yes. Everyone, come quick, it's rescue. 4 more people appeared from adjoining rooms, 3 men and 1 woman, but not Olivia. I'm Peter Wright, the bearded man said. This is Dan, Chris, Mary, and Joe. We've been here 2 years. The aliens, we call them the Silvers. They've been studying us. They're not cruel, but they don't really understand we're sentient. They think we're interesting animals. Where's Olivia? Eric asked again, looking around desperately. The group fell silent. Peter spoke carefully. Commander Johnson was with us, but about 6 months ago, the Silvers took her to another facility. She'd been teaching them our language, trying to convince them we were intelligent beings. She was making progress, but then they just moved her. We don't know where. One female specimen showed unusual abilities, said a voice behind Eric. He turned to see one of the aliens watching him. Mental capacity beyond the others. Moved to Central Study Hub. Eric stepped toward the alien. Take me to her, now. The alien tilted its head. Your emotional response indicates special connection to this specimen. She is my wife, Eric said, each word clear and firm. Not a specimen. A person like me, like you, with thoughts and feelings and rights. The alien was silent for a long moment. Then, follow. Eric turned to Peter and the others. Go to my shuttle. Wait there. The alien led Eric deeper into the floating city, to a central structure that gleamed brighter than the rest. Inside was a large chamber filled with strange devices, and there, standing at a table covered with what looked like star charts, was Olivia. She looked thin and her hair was longer than Eric had ever seen it. But she was alive, talking animatedly with two aliens, pointing at the charts. Olivia, Eric said, barely able to speak through his emotion. She turned, her expression changing from confusion to disbelief to joy in the space of seconds. Eric, she whispered. How? Is this real? It's real, he said, crossing the room and taking her in his arms. I found you. They held each other tightly, both crying. The aliens watched with curious expressions. Your kind forms pair bonds, said one alien to Olivia. This is your pair bond? Yes, she laughed through her tears. This is my husband, my pair bond, my love. Fascinating, said the alien. This explains much about your behavior models. When they finally let go of each other, Olivia looked at Eric with amazement. How did you find us? It's been 3 years. I never stopped looking, Eric said simply. The Starseeker was thrown through some kind of space anomaly. 13 survivors made it to the 3rd planet in this system. 2 years ago, you led a mission. Here, Olivia nodded. I've been trying to convince the Silvers that humans are sentient beings worthy of respect and communication. They're incredibly advanced, Eric. The things they know about energy and physics, and it could change everything for humanity. We need to get you all home, Eric said. Home, Olivia repeated, as if the word was strange to her. Yes. But wait, she turned to the aliens. This proves what I've been telling you. My people came across space to find us. They built ships that can travel through the stars. We are like you, thinkers, explorers, builders. The aliens conferred among themselves. Making musical sounds, finally one turned to Eric and Olivia. We have decided, it said. You are not specimens, you are people. We wish to learn from you as equals. To share knowledge. Eric looked at Olivia, seeing the same thought in her eyes. This could be the most important first contact in human history. We would like that, Eric said. But first we need to take our people home. Then we can return with proper diplomatic representatives. The aliens agreed. As Eric and Olivia walked hand in hand toward the shuttle, she squeezed his fingers tightly. You really never gave up, she said with wonder. I knew you weren't lost, he replied softly. Just somewhere I hadn't found yet.